Okay. Good afternoon and good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. And let me begin today's conversation by just saying congratulations to everyone. I think it's quite a magical moment for us at Tekedia Institute that you have spent the last 12, 13 weeks with us. We want to say thank you so much for considering Tekedia Institute for your academic and professional training journey. So thank you, and I would say congratulations also for coming together with us at this event. So we said today is our graduation day, and basically at the end of this program, we will be sending the certificates to every member of our community. We are so honored and privileged, of course, that you have stayed with us and also co-learned and co-mastered with us at this level. So I just have very, very quick things here, and we'll just conclude this in the next, hopefully, the next 75 minutes. It's going to be a little bit interactive, but because we have to also re-emphasize the necessity of just living here and not just living without knowing what we need. I have a short presentation. I call it a graduation day. Travel into better career. Of course, everyone here, we're hoping that the little experience, the little construct, model, processes, capabilities that you have acquired or that you have been exposed to will help you to pursue that mission of a better professional career. Please, I just want to confirm that I'm audible so that what happened on week one will not happen here as we are around. So, Thank
you. Thank you.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, Claire.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, sir.
Sure, here. I think I'm audible, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry about that. Interestingly, exactly the same thing that happened last time. Okay, good. So sorry about that. And yeah, so I'll begin by just doing a little bit of house cleaning here. Congratulations. Over the last 12 weeks, we've also had some of our members got into some startups, got some promotions, and also so many through a capstone are going to pursue entrepreneurial ventures. So when I say congratulations, of course, in November, later on in the year, you receive an email for Tekedia Annual Career Week and also the Innovation Week. You don't have to pay anything, of course, it's part of your program. So we bring in thought leaders in the space of innovation and career, and they will spend each 1 week for career and 1 week for innovation. So you'll be expecting that. Typically, we schedule that around November of every year. And I will also recommend, if there are things that you have learned in this program, if there are better perspectives that are coming here to co-learn with us, at the end of the day, there is just one way you can actually explain that by writing a report for yourself, writing and of your firm and send it to your supervisor. And over the last few quarters that we have done this, most people have actually been promoted, given more responsibilities because of things they have learned here and how they documented those things, applying those constructs and how they can improve their companies. So I would recommend you could make time for yourself and see how you can do that so that you can position yourself for something amazing in that company. Okay, and certificates we say we're going to be out by tomorrow morning, and we also ask you if you can share link in Facebook, make video, and just have an opportunity to tell people the experience you have here. And of course, if you have comments, feedback to us, we know areas that we have to improve, and we also working on those, but of course, we also want to read more where we also need to keep improving. You have access for 12 months from the day we started this program. That means that your access will be expiring really into 2023. So you have all the time in this world to go back, go through, and where necessary. As an alumni, you are guaranteed 50% discount anytime you come back to this program, whether it's the next edition or the one after, or even in 3-4 years, things like that. The alumni also is also applicable to annual membership, so just feel free. We also have the capstone. We have, especially those sponsored by companies, most times they want to write a report. The capstone offers you the opportunity of working with us to conceptualize and solve a problem. And when you write that report, good things have happened. We have a young man working in Ibadan. We promoted him to the head office after submitting a capstone report to his company. So please refer us to your office, to friends, families. We want to keep it growing here at Tekedia Institute, and we want to thank you. So that's the housekeeping. So let's now go into what I will call here the real graduation program. And I would like us to see this as more of someone who is going into a journey. And that journey is like you want to go to somewhere, you don't know what the destination is. I'm looking at that journey to be something like a career. For every great journey that you want to embark upon, there are so many elements that you have to consider. Why am I going there? What am I going there to do? I mean, you want to go in for a journey. You want to park things in your car, look at the trunk, the boots, and you want to take off from Lagos to Kano, Nairobi to Cape Town. That is a journey. And let's think within our own space and domain, what that journey could be. First question you ask yourself, what am I going there to do? What do I really want to do when I get there? And what is the purpose of that journey? Understanding here that the trip we are making is a career trip. And of course, once you have answered that question, it's the next thing here, what do I need to be effective on this particular journey? The efficiency of what you are going to get at the end of this journey is going to be correlated on the tools, the capabilities that you have actually acquired or mastered for yourself, so that as you transition from your point of takeoff to that destination, you make sure that the things you need, you have them. And as we go through career, this is one of the questions we keep asking ourselves. What do I need to have for me to get to that destination where I will have an opportunity to get into that mountaintop? That mountaintop could be different for every one of us. Some people want to be police officers. Some people want to be doctors. Some people want to be bank executives, bank managers. Some want to be startup founders. Some want to be professors, depending on whatever you want in life. So what are the things you need? And that is part of your career journey. Bringing those tools will be very, very critical. And then if you know the tools that you need, who are those that have those tools? Do you have them? Are they with outsiders? Do you have access to those tools? Do you have access to those things? You have to ask these questions. And that is the reason why when you look at the environment where you are, say, hey, I want to be a very good microprocessor designer. I want to make microprocessors. I want to build chips. I want to build integrations. You know, ask yourself, can I have a career like that in Lagos? The things I need to get to that journey I want to partake in, do I have the opportunities in that city or in that company or in that location to do that? You have to answer that. So once you have done those assessments, the question now, which path do you take? Becomes extremely critical. Just like in business, your business model has a lot of impact on whether you are going to be successful. And we have explained through this program that one of the most important things that we hire leaders in companies, CEOs in companies, that we expect those CEOs to design a business model that will position a company for success. Because If you have one CEO, he or she has underperformed, you bring in another CEO, and that CEO begins to turn things around. The company begins to show a lot of progress. That it's not necessarily that the products have changed. It's not necessarily that the customers have changed. Most times what has happened, that the business model that the new CEO is architected is the one that brings more alignment to what will help to push those products and services to a higher level. And I can give you an example. We've had so many cases here during this program with IBM, how IBM was losing money every quarter. They brought a new CEO, and things now started changing. We look at how Microsoft, for many years, was in a state of stasis. And then they brought a new CEO. In just less than 6 years, he turned it into a $1 trillion company. So your path to your own career, you have to ask yourself, is the business model for my own career, am I in the right business model? These things are key. These things are extremely very, very important. So how do I manage the resources? Because we also have limitations. I know that ExxonMobil says ExxonMobil unlimited, but I always tell people, hey, ExxonMobil is unlimited in Nigeria, but let's just pray that bad boys do not come, because then he begins to know it's unlimited. In other words, in everything in life, there are limitations. There are resources constraints. How do you manage the resources? How do you, under the perturbation of a ceiling of abundance you can access to get to that journey? How do I know that I'm making progress even when I'm on that journey? You know, the world is not necessarily designed for us to start comparing Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. Personally, myself, I'm just a village guy. I'm so just happy with my life, in the sense that I'm not necessarily waking up in the morning comparing myself with this person or this person. Rather, what I try to do personally is to see how I will outperform my yesterday. If what I'm doing today is making me better than the way I was yesterday, I will be very, very fine. So, of course, you get to be inspired by people. You have to allow people to inspire you. Otherwise, you're no more living in a social system. But you don't necessarily have to begin to compare yourself A and B. Men, gentlemen and ladies, I have seen people that resign from Goldman Sachs to go and become teachers in America. I have seen professors that left their teaching job just to go and start traveling all over the world. In other words, there is nothing you think you have accomplished that somebody has not left behind. You know, I have had opportunities of being the same many times with Bill Gates, the same table, eat the same from the same buffet table with tag and charts. I have also had opportunity with Richard Branson, or some of these 1%, very, very experienced, very, very rich people. But one thing I have learned, the world, they say, is a stage. Once you have bought that first private jet, it's now a past tense. Then the next one comes, you buy it. So the question now is, where does it end? So we need to have that mindset that in a world of this thing they call career, we also need to make sure that we are in charge of our own life. Otherwise, we can just be stressing our lives to the point where we cannot even have time for the life that we live. So as we do that, many things are key. And I will take you back to the beginning. And the very important thing, because this was one of the finest courses in the university in Futo that actually made us to know that we are now university students. You know, when you take philosophy and logic in university, you learn about the big words, so that those that did not go to university can come back to the village and tell them, listen, man, this statement is not logical, because the professors say that it's not bad, it's not, you're just making invalid statements. So I'll take you back to the postulation of Pythagoras many years. Pythagoras, during the great debates of the Greek philosophers, Heraclitus tells they were debating what the constructs of the universe. Thales say that the world is made of water. Heraclitus postulated the world is made of fire. And I like the Pythagoras who say that the world is nothing but numbers. I want to challenge you today. If you are running your career without understanding that career is nothing but numbers, it may be very, very difficult for you to improve your careers. Everything we do in life, everything we do, every profession, every career, if you do not see the numbers in that, you are not going to advance very, very well. The business of medicine is nothing but numbers. The business of engineering is nothing but numbers. The career of a banker is nothing but numbers. The career of everything. I like to see the numbers that govern whatever I do. And I have always used numbers to see how I can create a future I want to live so that I can predict it with higher level of certainty so that I can find success. So I challenge you today, don't just wake up in the morning without understanding what you do, where you live, where you practice, how the evolutions or changes or disruptions in technology systems are affecting that. The lady, she was a typist in the university, and one afternoon she just realized that she has lost her job. But if you check very, very well, the signs were evident that the phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, typists were just losing job continuously. But that individual did not pay attention that this particular field is shrinking. And that means over a period of time, that job will not be there. We cannot afford to have a career where we are not mindful of the numbers around us. So what I will say here is, you work in a bank, have you look at the numbers in the banking? Yeah, gentlemen and ladies, just mute yourself. When you log in here, you're actually muted. You know, we always have this problem. I don't know why you want to unmute yourself when you are not. We're going to open it up for question and answer. Just mute yourself. There's no need of unmuting it and then making noise. So when I joined the bank many years ago, one of the things I did, I went around all the bank websites, check all their EDs. I saw one consistency. Most of the EDs had ICANN. ICANN is a kind of a chartered accountancy stuff, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. And I said, okay, if I have to stay in banking, I must also be a chartered accountant, because it seems that the numbers are actually working for those that are technically chartered accountants, even one of the bankers. That's kind of awareness is critical in your own field. If I've seen those people, men and women, they are rising up, what is it that they are doing? If you go back to Pythagoras, Pythagoras is telling you there is a consistency and a pattern, that if you plot what we say in engineering, Gaussian distribution, you're going to see within an interval range the consistency on what so many of those people have. That is why they're getting to the top. So if you want to make that travel to your career into the future, that ICANN, let's say you're in banking, should naturally be part of your playbook, because most of them that are top, they have it. Of course, we went into ICANN also, did intermediate, and then started a professional before we now felt, oh, let's go back to engineering. So I challenge you to look into the numbers in your career. And as you look into the numbers in your career, in our week 1 of this program, we may say, why do we need careers? And we made this point very, very clearly, because the only way to fix the frictions in markets is through companies. You have the demand and supply. There is a massive level of imperfection in market systems. And because of those imperfection in market systems, you can only bring a better solution space through companies. Because if there is no company in the world, it means that demand and supply cannot come into a perfect equilibrium point, and producers and consumers cannot interact. So that's the reason why if you walk into a city, you can now go to a restaurant and eat, because somebody has seen that there is a need to have a restaurant so that they can overcome the friction you have when you are hungry. Because if there is no restaurant, the option there is for you to start knocking at every door. It's something in banking. Orchestrating those that have money, those that don't have money, making sure the person that puts the money there, the other person, they take it to lend to the other person. But as those things are happening, Men and women are building careers, offering different services in order for that company to develop capability. At the end of the day, every company has to be known for something. And that thing is that the company has a mission. And that mission is built on the capabilities that the company has assembled together. And those capabilities are things, if you go back to your secondary school economics, they call the factors of production. But we have added knowledge as a new domain and a new dimension in that factor of production. Knowledge becoming capacity to even make it possible that we can combine all these elemental constructs to make it possible that we can fix the frictions which are evident in markets. Look at how can you play a role that is part of your career to help that company, to help the market system to solve the problems they have. If you go to any company, there are three things: the processes, the tools, the people. People, the labor, the executors of business models. The supremacy of business model is evident in companies. People that they have to execute them. And then that execution of business model can be classified into three main phases: strategic, tactical, and operational. At the time you look through all of them, you could say, I can begin from operational, move to tactical, and move to strategic. But at the end of the day, you are manipulating other two elements: the tools you need to do whatever you have to do in that company, the processes that govern how those tools are used, and the human systems are combined. Master them, lead them, you begin to see your ascension in your career. Many things are not predictable because we need luck in our lives. But most times we need to position ourselves for the lucks to work for us. And what I'm hoping that through some of the courses that we have taken in this, our perspectives and mindset will change, that we can predict the future because we can help to create a future. You don't just wake up in the morning without a sense of where that future will come. I spoke with a businessman today in New York. I told him, sir, I've looked at the market. What I'm seeing is that there is a very high risk there may be a recession. I know, just do one thing. Please have more cash, build more liquidity. Now, this man owns a very, very big business in Nigeria, but he just came for a vacation. And not a typical thing you do. I called him in his vacation. I said, the data I'm seeing shows me that you have to make a decision. And all of a sudden, and said, okay, what I say, hey, you need to have more cash, and this is the type. You know, what are we trying to do here? We cannot get everything right. But the thing is that not using the numbers that are coming into the society to make decisions how you can secure the future means that even that career you want to play, because the company you work is going to define to a large extent your career to a large extent. So becoming that element of change is going to be very critical. And how do you become that? That's why you say you work in this program, we say the perceptions of your customers. Companies that having career men and women at the needs, they don't do well. Career men and women expectations, they don't do great. The companies or individual market systems that have men and women pursuing careers at the level of perception, they do well. Perception is basically saying that you are moving a tribe of customers into a new dimension where they never even imagined would be a possibility. When I say that when you turn those customers into fans, creating fandom, great, beautiful things happen. And I'm hoping that's how to turn those customers into fans, that through this program, Tekedia Mini-MBA, that we have picked some very critical indicators or elements or tools, model, process, system, capabilities that can help us to make such happen. Serving the needs of customers is nothing. The needs of customers, hey, come and go. Expectation of customers, maybe. But the greatest companies in the world, they work at the perceptions of customers. Tesla is a company that works at perception. If you are trying to create a product that mimics Tesla, you're wasting your time because Tesla's products are unbounded. When you park a Tesla in your garage, what a car can do is not dependent on what you pick it up on the day It's based on the subscription plan you have for that car. If you want the car to run faster, hey, pay more, extra $15 per month. They're right there in Silicon Valley or Tesla. They tune it up and that car can run faster. If you want the engine capacity to be better, higher, everything is inside that car. Gentlemen and ladies, is that not how they sell software? You have your premium plan, you have enterprise plan, you have your starter plan. That's what somebody has built in a car. And it's not just Tesla. Look at companies like iPhone, Apple, iPhone. The inspiration that comes when iPhone is being launched, a new version, tells you that it's not in a product, that this is more of a symbol for many people. It's like men and women going to the altar. They want to go and sit at the altar to see into something higher. Why? People take days off because they want to go and buy a phone. And it's not just buying a phone. Apple does most of these things during winter, when it's really very, very cold. They lose the days of work. They leave their home very early, 2 a.m. They queue 4 hours just to buy a phone. They are going on a pilgrimage, but the pilgrimage now is not to go to Jerusalem or go to Mecca, but the pilgrimage is to go to Best Buy where they buy electronics. It means that Apple has created a demigod through iPhone. And what that means is careers of men and women working there, they have elevated it from meeting the needs, expectation of customers to the perceptions of customers. And as you do that, beautiful things happen in markets. But don't think, gentlemen and ladies, that it's all about technology. I'm a technology person, but I do not believe that technology makes anyone rich. What makes people rich is ability to solve the needs of customers. Solving the needs of customers is not, they mean solving the problems that customers have. The expectations, the perceptions of customers. It could come from many angles. I recall vividly those days I was in Futo. Wanted to get my first laptop. I was in Port Harcourt. He said, man, do you have Intel inside? I said, no. This one AMD. I say, if it doesn't have Intel inside, forget. But before then, everyone that wanted to buy a laptop, who never really cared what was inside a laptop. The microprocessor, the engine that powers the laptop, for us, it was immaterial. What was material to us was the logo of HP, Lenovo, IBM. But Intel said, no, it can't happen. The most important component of a laptop is not the logo of HP or Lenovo or whatever, those people that package them. The most important thing is the central processing unit, what they call the microprocessor. That Intel will make sure that the world knows that this laptop is powered by Intel. And if Intel can do that, people will begin to make a decision on if they want to buy that laptop because Intel is inside. That sticker, the guy that invented that sticker, made enormous contribution to the Pentium line of Intel and even the guy that configured the transistor. So my point is, they don't see this, oh, I can't code, I can't write. In short, HP LaserJet, the guy that named it LaserJet, those guys in the bank, we used to do what they call dot matrix printing work, cabal in the night. You know, in 80, he was making so much noise. Then all of a sudden, instead of using those dot matrix printing that are so noisy, somebody said, let's call this printer a LaserJet. It's fast, so noiseless. You can have that career, not because you can code, but because you are working at the level of perception in any field of endeavor that you have chosen. And as we do that, I connect you back to 3 cardinal themes we focus in this program: innovation, growth, and digital execution. We say that innovation is key because if you cannot turn products out of ideas, it's invention. There are so many inventors in the world. They have so many brilliant ideas. Go to LinkedIn, Facebook, you see young men in Nigeria, from Oshobo to Umuahia to Yobe. They are creating all kinds of technology systems, how to boil water without water, how to do every kind of thing. They are inventors. But they need to move from being inventors to innovators. That translation is the most difficult thing in life. You go to beer parlors in Aba this evening, people have ideas how to fix electricity in Nigeria. If you go to Molway Park on Monday, hey, this thing fashion I cannot do. I know it already. And if you go to Kanu, they will tell you why this. Oh my God, I made you forget. They have it. Those are inventors. You turn those ideas into products and services. Give them 1 year, nothing has happened. We look into this program. How do we turn that invention to innovation? And that innovation should bring growth. We don't want you to sell $1 for 65 cents. So at the end of these days, I have many customers. One day you run out of cash and you close. I don't write very, very bad articles anymore at Tekedia because whenever I do, when I used to do, there were a lot of, especially our young ladies, they felt so bad because say, this is a company I work, and that thing you wrote is not fair. What did I write? I said, Conga, the old Conga, you just close this company. What you're doing doesn't make sense anymore. And somebody's telling me this is a company that raised more than 100 million. I said, it doesn't matter because the last press release I read, what they want to do is irrelevant. So when they now folded and closed it in the next 2 weeks, people say I was the one that caused it. No, I was not the one that caused it. What happened was they were innovating without growth because the best investors in any business, the best investor in any business is the customer. If the customer is not investing in your business, your mission is lost. And that is the point in this program, that innovation has to bring growth. And that growth is not raising money from VCs or private equity firms or angels or whoever, that the real customers, the real investors in market systems, those customers have to invest in you and they have to bring growth. We also look, if the world of the future has to go digital, how do you position that company to be digital ready? Because everything one way or the other will be digitally destroyed. And as we do that, we move from a world of invention society to a world of innovation society. And if we do innovation society at individual levels, at company levels, our growth will not be these flattened, but our growth will move exponentially, just like the growth of so many other companies. So, ladies and gentlemen, at Tekedia Institute, MWC, I'm so honored and privileged on behalf of our faculty, staff, and our students, and all our members and learners. We want to thank you so much for winning the future with us because we want to say you are ready to lead. Congratulations once again. Thank you so much. So we can now take questions and answers. And good evening and good night. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead and let's take the questions, and we can just take, I don't know, we'll have a watch here to know how many minutes we have so that we can make it possible for you to go back to farm. Okay, so let's go to the first one. Go ahead, please. Ogunso, please go ahead.
All right, Prof. Thank you for the program. And concerning what you said we've been making reference to this program. It's a blessing to Africa. It's a blessing to us as Nigerians. So my question goes thus, Prof. Is concerning the first break when trying to put factors of production together. How do you sustain the momentum as you as a person trying to mobilize around an idea, around an initiative, like while you are putting together the test case? How do you sustain the momentum? Because the challenges of the doing something for the first time. So that's my question, Prof.
Okay. I mean, when you mean sustaining the momentum, there are really two things here. The first thing is that momentum sustainable? Because I'm giving you this from the angle of there are sometimes people go into a market that is hopeless. There's really nothing you can do to change the outcome. But let's assume that there is something that is worthwhile in that particular market. The next is actually continuous innovation. continuous innovation here is not just using a boss phrase. It's ability to look at what your customers want, go back to the drawing board, re-engineer whatever you are doing to make sure there is an alignment to the needs of your customers so that you can serve them. I've had an opportunity of being in many boards in companies. And I have seen sometimes, even as a board expert observer, when they ask me to come into their board meeting to observe what is going on. In some cases, the biggest problems people have is not that they are not executing well or they are not extremely very good in business operation. The problem is that sometimes their markets are dying, but they do not know that their markets are shrinking. And yet they are still thinking the problem is that they are not doing very well. You know, like I explained it during the course of this program that I traveled from US to Lagos for a out-of-home advertising industry player clients, and you know the owner of the company was beating the CEO, the management, that they were not doing well. So, but when I got there, I just used numbers to explain to the owner, see, sir, your markets, this is your industry. Your industry is shrinking. And that your men and women are actually improving your market percentage, your market share. But the problem is that because the industry is shrinking, even as they are increasing market share, it doesn't really translate to much profit and revenue because the company. So it is not really them getting better. It is really the fact that the industry is shrinking because Google and Facebook are taking most of the advertising dollar and there is really nothing left for them. So what I'm saying is, it's not just throwing better ideas into a problem. You need to ask yourself, that problem, does it even offer an opportunity in the market? Okay, for instance, you want to go and start a business for clean water in Nigeria, where the water rates in Nigeria, some of the rates were fixed about more than 20 years ago. There is just no way you're going to be profitable providing clean water at an industrial scale because the water rates that the Nigerian government through the state governments have set, they are hopeless. So no matter how efficient you are, you're just not going to be successful. So that is a very key thing. But if there is an option that you have an opportunity of making money, of course, go back to your drawing table, redesign your business model, create better products and services so that your customers can have a better moment. Let's go to Lawrence, please. Go ahead. Lawrence, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Prof and cosmates, thank you so much for the time given to us to be part of this program. I have learned so much, within this period of this program. Most of the things that the faculties have said are actually generic and cut across all the sectors. But I think that most of them affect me because I operate more, 90% within the FMCG. And one of the things that you said in the last, in the last section actually touches what we're planning to do from the month of June and July. Because before now, we were importing diapers from, overseas. And because of the cost of clearing in Nigeria, so we decided to, start with local production that will not only reduce the cost of, take away the cost of clearing. Imagine clearing a 40-feet container, for 4.2 million, then to 5.7 million. The quantity of what is in the container is not increasing, but the cost of bringing it out is now gone up. So you don't have any choice than to actually plan to execute and have your local production. Now, looking at the last thing that you said, which has to do with the innovation, growth, and digital execution. So I see us rebouncing back by June, July. Looking at the other players, about 3 major players, competitors. Even though you said that the major challenge are the internal, competitor, which is what we do, the product and all of the other factors. So I want to say that this Tekedia Mini-MBA edition 7 or 7th edition has actually been very helpful, not only in showing the way, or charting the course as to what we need to do to improve on our figures and take it away from, the level where it was or it has been in the last 4 years to a new level. I've learned so much, and as head of operations, I also want to believe that I don't have anything to pay back to Tekedia Mini-MBA than to recommend someone already. I've recommended someone last week. I think he has registered through NAMD and all of that. He's done that. So, and I've also just discussed with my CEO this evening that the other areas, 6 areas, regional managers actually need to do that so that they understand how we can help, improve the, work on the markets, do all the things that we need to do. So I'm very thankful to you, to the faculty, and all other members of this particular edition for the input made into this session. Thank you, and God bless you, and continue to grow Tekedia Mini-MBA. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a very amazing one. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lawrence, and truly amazing. Thank you for that kind words. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will promise you one thing, that we'll keep getting better. And as we have more data, and as we, anytime you go into the, we know what is going on. We just need to keep getting better. Thank you so much for that kind word. Thank you. So let's go to David, I think coming from Sierra Leone. So David, please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, Prof, thank you so much. I'm in my other office in Dakar.
Oh, okay, from Senegal.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to appreciate you, and I think every young individual that is growing up on the continent that wants to really do something should come to Tekedia, and we will do our best to recommend as much as we can, to bring people to Tekedia. Mine is generally a comment. Mine is generally a comment from the pool of knowledge, that we've been drinking from, throughout this 7th edition. And I think that is businesses, small and medium enterprises or young businesses or startups need to begin to look at having, structures that accommodate suppliers' credit when you are starting a business rather than loans and venture, capitalist money, and also ensure that they have commitments from clients. So you have a supplier's credit that you're not paying for, and then you have clients responding to that supplier's credit, and you being in the middle, beginning to understand what the clients really want, and then build what we call, a market approach that you and the client are one, and so that you can co-create, with them. I think that will help a lot of, young business that will just come, blossom, and die the next day, like .com,
Yeah.
And so I think that is what we need to start to know, that you don't need to just start your idea and go to, the venture capitalist world. You have to have, real test of knowledge and factors of production, and see whether really people want it or not, and then you begin to improve on that. But all said and done, I just want to thank you, and I appreciate the faculty that came around, and thank you so much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think the point you made here is actually the most impactful and the most important, I would say, for the African business space. In United States, that's what they call credit system. You could buy a car and pay for it over 6 years. You could buy a house and pay for it over 30 years. So the implication of that is that if you are a cleaner in a company, or if you are a security professional guy, you can buy a car, you could buy a house, because you can pay that house over 30 years. But in Africa, you need to have that money 100%. So there is just no way we can build an economic system where it has to be 100% based on cash, using the word cash in quotes. So somebody has to pioneer or invent a better way of doing that. It is only when we do that that every person will see the dignity of labor. When I say the dignity of labor, is that a young lady that is flipping burger in McDonald's, she feels so confident of herself because there is nothing a bank manager can have access to in America that with little planning that she cannot. I mean, you have a car, I have a car, I can also buy a new car. You have a house, I can also buy my own house. So there is, and that is the reason why the politicians cannot take advantage of anybody, because what Joe Biden can eat tomorrow morning, somebody working in the remote part of Wyoming can also eat the same thing. So because the system has been designed that, I mean, you could spread it. So this is where I need all the startups to bring what I'll call a new basis of competition, where this credit system can happen. But it's not going to be easy because I also work in the bank. People will go and take loan, and the wife will come next month and say the man died. Then now you, the banker, will now have to prove that the man is still alive. So how do you deal with it? The woman was crying that the husband is late, and you are now trying to prove that the man is still alive because the man just took the loan 2 weeks ago. So that's why some banks would like to send somebody when the burial to make sure the man is actually dead. Man, these things are not laughing matter, but I'm telling you that Africa, we have so many demons that we have to cast. I don't know. And I think market systems have to help us to do that. So thank you, David, for your kind word. Elwin, please go ahead. Elwin.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone. My fellow graduates of the Tekedia Edition 7, I want to congratulate everyone today. It has been a good journey so far. And I want to thank Prof and the team. Editayo, thank you so much. Yes, Prof, I wanted you to look at something. There's a trending something related to Nigerian aviation industry. They are saying they are going to shut down by Monday. Based on cost of the aviation fuel, I wanted you to look at if is there anything an entrepreneur can look at in that market to capture, because I'm trying to find a particular product that can help in that angle. I wanted to elaborate how an entrepreneur can close that gap and fix that friction and get appreciated by the customer. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is really nothing an entrepreneur can do. What is happening is just the rent-seeking business models that we engineer in Africa. I mean, I say this with all full responsibility, understanding that this is not a political class. And every part of Africa, in UX, in most part of advanced nations, there is one thing they do which I like. If you want to import fuel, gasoline, you want to import aviation jets, these are the requirements. Once you meet that everything that has been set out, you can. But if you go to places like Nigeria, those things are not as simple as ABC. And so at the end of the day, only few people will actually have the opportunity of bringing those things in. And by the time you have given that power to a few people, there is this kind of toxicity that they would like to abuse that privilege. The simple thing there is, if you can buy or lease a Boeing aircraft, why should you go and buy fuel from another person who possibly cannot even afford to stand before companies that lease aircraft? But that is the way it's structured in Nigeria. People that bring this aviation fuel, they are their own world. And so the guys that now need to buy from them who own the aircraft have to go and beg. And because they see that as their own life and their own world, they dictate whatever. But imagine if the government has said, these are the requirements. Whether you own an aircraft or not, anyone that makes it, you are allowed to bring it to the country. That is where you can now see an entrepreneur who can come in and say, hey, I'm going to get the requirement to import aviation fuel, and I'm going to reduce my expenses in this so that I can deliver better services and then make money. It's not going to happen because Air Peace, the largest commercial airline in West Africa at least, doesn't have a right to even bringing the fuel he needs to fuel his own Boeing aircraft. Asman, and just name them. there are so many of them, Dana aero contractors, which has been operating for how many decades? So they have to depend on all these guys in order for them to do this. So I think that is the biggest problem. So as an entrepreneur, there's nothing you can do because you don't have that license. And getting that license is not something that you just get overnight. Yeah, so there's nothing. So we just wait until one day somebody can fix the continent. Let's go to Emmanuel, please.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, Emmanuel, please. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Good evening, all. Thank you. This is my first time of talking here. I've been listening and eating everything, and I'm enjoying it. I deeply appreciate. This is not a question. Rather, I want to appreciate that the WhatsApp group was set up this time. I registered 2 years ago, I think during the lockdown, and I was not getting any reminder either via email or WhatsApp or anything. And when I tried to what's even happening in this place, I need to go through so many places on the dashboard and all of that. But I understand what you are trying to do, Prof. You wanted people to be responsible for what they paid for. But rather, I think setting up the WhatsApp group really helps. It reminds you enjoy the class, but there's a way 7 p.m. can just come, and before you know it, you have missed the class, and you feel so bad that you have missed the class. But the WhatsApp group is real. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The WhatsApp group is because I saw you were like this WhatsApp group, you don't really like the idea, but I can tell you, sir, it has made some of us to attend. If I wait for that dashboard, I may not attend this class. But rather, I just go to the WhatsApp group, the reminder through, an entire group. I'm sure there are other groups, and it helps. So, like the what I paid for 2 years ago now, by the time I came back, I saw that then I didn't even hear anything about maybe after 1 year you can't use it, or maybe you could pay 50% and all of that. I just saw the new adverts through daily newspaper that gave 1 year stuff. I can't remember the Business Day. I saw it's the same Tekedia. I just went ahead to pay, and then finally I joined the WhatsApp. What am I saying in essence? I think the WhatsApp group helps, and maybe any other way like email. I remember that first time I was asking, can there be a email reminder that, oh, the class is coming up on this particular day. The class is coming up on this particular day. You don't really need to remind us. We paid if we are serious to attend. But I can also say, you'll be surprised that a number of us, by the time the number of things you do, you may just, it's the next day you remember that I was supposed to have a class on Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. But I want to recommend that we continue either as email if we don't want to do the WhatsApp, but I think the WhatsApp also will a great way. Also, what can I do about the one I paid for before? Can somebody in my office maximize it? Maybe we'll pay 50% and all of that. I just want to also ask, or maybe off this class, off this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so sure, just get in touch with admin, to work it out to find out. But let me say, we don't really like sending emails. You see, because if you look at it, we have about 3 contacts every week. On Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Then if you include that the courses go live on Monday, you can say that we have 4 contacts. If we agree that we'll be sending you every Monday that the classes are live, the recorded one, then on Tuesday we'll remind you, Thursday we'll remind you, Saturday. If care is not taken, Tekedia will just be the only thing that's in your email. So it's going to be exceedingly very, very challenging if you are flooding people with that. So what we tell our members on our community, we know 7 p.m. West African time, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday. If you have a Gmail, load those moments and time into your calendar. The same thing will be reminding you. Google will just do the reminder for you. If you are using Yahoo, load, if you have an enterprise email from your company, go to your reminders, put that. Or if you can't, use your phone. But we don't want to be sending emails 4 times in a day. It's just not something that we think. Then on WhatsApp, we used to use WhatsApp, The funny thing there was it was just not working because the capacity, I don't even know how many groups we have in this current one. So we felt it has WhatsApp group 1, WhatsApp group 2, WhatsApp group 3, 4. And at the end of the day, there is no way we can manage it. Because I know that you may be in an entire zone, there is Nnamdi's on WhatsApp, and there is just so many, because the number of members we have, WhatsApp cannot accommodate it because they capped it at, I think, 256, which doesn't really touch the numbers we have. So we built our own kind of WhatsApp, but unfortunately, the time you register was the time we are trying to see whether it will work. Unfortunately, it failed over 100%.
Yes,
it looked really cool. I mean, that was the hub.tekedia. We even have an app, but it didn't work out. So we will be using WhatsApp. There's no debate on that. That is a feedback. And we use our data to see that there is, so we'll be using WhatsApp. And thank you for confirming. I think everyone agreed. The only thing we wish, if WhatsApp can give us a payment plan, say you can enroll 3,000 people in a WhatsApp group and you just pay maybe $100 in a year, so that you can expand it so that everyone will be in the same WhatsApp group instead of WhatsApp group 1, WhatsApp group 3. The Telegram, we tried Telegram in the past. Of course, Africa generally, we're not Telegram native. We are more of WhatsApp native. Yeah. Okay, so great. So let's go to, okay, Don. Okay, let's go to Faith, please. Faith, go ahead, please.
Good evening, Prof.
Okay, great.
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Prof. I first want to say thank you so much for this program. It has really, really helped me as a person and as a business person. I could spot so many things I was doing wrong, and I think I'm way, way better than where I was a few months ago. But I have a question. I think I dabbled into buying businesses, failing businesses per se. And it has really been a tough one because it's my competitor's business. And like the last one now, I found out that when I did the math before I took over, there was no way this person was making profit. So we sat down, we tweaked everything back and forth, and we came up with how to make it work. Now the problem is Nigerians. At first, we tried moving out some certain people, obviously, and bringing in our own people, but it has been so difficult because everybody wants to stand their ground. And I realized the main reason why the company is even failing is because of people, not the system, because Nigerians want everything to favor them. So I think maybe I don't have a clue on the first thing about taking over businesses, even though I've done project management courses before now, and this has really helped. So I don't know if you can shed, I know this is not the perfect time, but a tiny bit of advice or light into this on what I can do, mostly as somebody taking over a business from a Nigerian perspective.
Yes, of course, there are so many elements we have to consider here. Just need a lot of data insights to I would say, to offer any practical this thing. Interestingly, we have a product in Tekedia, we call it Tekedia Masterclass. And that one is designed for one-on-one conversation with the CEOs or the founders or the leaders of the company. It makes it easy to look at these problems at more specific levels so that one can offer them. But understand that businesses are just designed that you have to fight the workers, you have to fight the management, you have to fight the board, you have to fight the customer, so many levels of friction. So leaders in companies, your job is to see how you balance those things optimally. But if you think that you're going to go, somebody will wave the white flag, that is not a very good assumption. And that is also the same thing if somebody says he's a very brilliant man, When he goes into Nigeria, he's going to fist power. I say, hey, speak with total level of humility. There is just no way they can pick you up in America. And when you go to Nigeria, all the problems will disappear because who are you? Because there are vested interests that you have to fight them, win them before those things you think will work. I recall vividly one of my friends was called to, he runs a very big transportation network, fixing roads in one state in America. They asked him to come and become the head of either FEMA or something, Federal Emergency Road something in Nigeria. He called me and said, this is what the government wants me. They said that because I fix roads in Alabama, very good roads. I said, hey, have you asked them if they can give you the budget Alabama gives you? Because if the government of Nigeria cannot give you the budget Alabama gives you, how are you going to fix the roads? So my point is this: the Harvard spends more money than the Nigerian Ministry of Education, and Harvard delivers better educational content. If, as you go into that business, you're going to seek frictions. And for this, I would say we take it offline to see how maybe if there is a way one can offer insight, because I just need a lot of data to actually be add any value to the question you ask, because I think it's very, very specific. But buying companies is not just the money you pay, it's actually the obligation and the liabilities that come with that. So one of the most important things most times is, there is the clause most startups use. When I buy your company, there is this double trigger. That double trigger means that every person in that company, I'm very sorry saying this publicly, will first of all lose his or her job, so that you now have the right to select those you want to join into that new team. But what happens, I see in Nigeria, is that lawyers will ask you to buy the company. They do not understand the culture. It's actually the reason why the company is not doing well. So when you buy, instead of buying, let's say, the intellectual property or the business or the trade secret, you also are buying the terrible culture that has affected that business. But if you have used the double trigger would have terminated all employments. Please, just know, we are in a class, gentlemen and ladies. I'm not saying that people should lose their jobs. Let's see this as a class. Remember, this is just a classroom where we're discussing business the way it should be discussed, and you could learn something from it. So once you do that, everyone the other side know this company has been bought and all the jobs terminated. Then the next morning, you can now begin a reassessment of who can join. That gives you a higher leverage than when you buy and you're also buying the obligation of that terrible culture. So maybe there's always a way of looking at it in another way. So first, maybe we'll speak on this so that we can get more practical, I would say, data, so that one can offer some perspective to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I'll reach out to you, sir.
Yeah. And Destiny, also, please go ahead. Destiny, if you're there, please go ahead. We just have about 11 more minutes, so that I can allow you to continue with your weekend, please. Destiny, go ahead.
I'm there, sir. Good evening, Prof, sir.
Good evening.
Okay, a very straightforward question. In addition to, I'm adding my voice to the vote of thanks that have been made by others in the group.
Sorry.
It was a very nice session, and we learned a lot. I can't really express how I feel. But then my question is this. Backward to sometime this week, you taught us about eliminating the middlemen in buying stocks in US and then using your own direct company if you can afford that. So I want to ask, I have a company incorporated in Canada, and I want to ask whether that could go as well. So that's just my question. Thank you very much, Prof.
Okay, I don't understand the context of the middleman, but I recall vividly in one of our sections, I noted that there was a company that was booming very well because he was helping people buy things in US. And I told people don't invest. I mean, some people that asked me, my clients, said don't invest in it, because the reason why that company was doing well was because payments into US shops and malls companies were very difficult. Any day somebody faces that problem, that company will go bankrupt, because there is really no value except that if I want to buy something in JCPenney and I'm living in Lagos, there is just no way I can pay for that thing in JCPenney is like their supermarket kind of where they buy clothes. Now,
okay,
I want to buy something in PayPal, so something like Amazon, and there's no way I can pay. So that individual said, pay to me in Naira, I will buy that thing for you, and then I'll ship it to you. But any day that Amazon makes it possible that you can buy from Lagos, why do you need a company? So in that case, we say that that business does not have a moat. That's one of the things we do in startups. When we invest in this startup, we look at companies that have moat. Moat is the ability to protect your castle. If you go back to ancestral Africa, you realize that the kings in your village must necessarily live in a place where if the enemies have to come to attack your village, the king has to stay in a place where that attack will not be easy. So typically what do? The king will live in a type of a small hill or live in a place surrounded by water bodies. In my village in Ovim in Abia State, I'm from Ugunta, and in Ugunta, we live at the topmost part of the community. And for you to come and attack the king, Obiovum, the king of the Ovim people, you have to basically maneuver that hill. And it's also rocky, very rocky. And then you also are the custodian of the war dancers. So that is a moat. Of course, those things don't make any sense, but you don't need to call, just use a missile, fire it. But what I'm saying here is, if that business does not have a moat, it cannot protect that customer. So using middlemen or disintermediation is not just going to be durable if that particular reason why that middleman business was working is eliminated. So I think that's the point I'm making. I think I was speaking of Mall of Africa, that it was doing so well, and until the payment systems improved and people can now order things right at Amazon and those things are delivered in Lagos. They don't need Mall of Africa anymore, because Mall of Africa solution to them, which was to collect payment, they can pay directly to Amazon.com. And there are so many Nigerians on Amazon Prime. So that's the point I'm making. So you registering a company to do it yourself, maybe, but I don't see the competitive value. But I recall vividly during this program, we discussed that if you can have a company in US where you have a bank account in US, it's also an advantage when you want to pay your raw material partners in China. So in some cases, you have a US bank, if you can get some revenue in US, it's easier. Instead of spending 3 months dealing with forex issues with CBN and bank, you have fund that you can transfer. So I don't know the specific angle, but I just want to make sure that there's no confusion there.
Oh, okay. I'm directly referring to Chaka and Bamboo, like owning stocks in the US with a Canadian company. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you can buy from them, but I say this: if you are buying high volume of shares in buying a lot of company stocks in different entities, if you have, it's not like when you're buying $100, you go and set up a US company. It makes no sense. But if you are investing, let's say $30,000, you can just register a Delaware company and invest through Delaware company. Buy the shares from a publicly, a stockbroker in US, instead of buying it from a company from Nigeria. That company from Nigeria goes through a broker and buy for you. You can just buy it directly. That's the point I was making. But it's not when you're just buying small units. If you are really buying maybe a significant number for your family or friends or your company, you could just buy it through a US LLC company, and that can take care of that. Okay, let's go to Kazim, please. Kazim, go ahead, please.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Thank you very much for this program. So I just want to go straight to the point. I feel that this program can only get better. I mean, I've looked at it from the past editions and what you have now, and I think it can only get better. So in the spirit of getting better, I just had a few suggestions. Of course, they are not the gospel truth. It's just my own personal suggestions based on my own experience. So the first is that, so I thought that in terms of the way the programs are structured, the modules on a weekly basis, I felt that it might also be, might probably be better if some of the similar materials are probably clustered together, so in spite of the fact that they relate to maybe innovation or business growth and all of those things might be. So for example, if I want to do like an HR module, I might just click on all of the HR modules and see the different weeks in which they are. And I just probably feel that I want to do HR first, and then I probably go to operations and all those things, because I find that as I go through the weeks, I find things that are quite related to HR, and sometimes I find things that are quite related to operations, either using technology to improve your operations or pure operations. There are a couple of programs that are the couple of modules that talk about supply chain and all of those things. I just feel that if they were in one cluster where I just say, okay, I want to go through materials that are essentially talking about operations. So it could be operations in the light of innovation, etc., etc. But it probably just helps it helps me to be able to focus a bit more, rather than, I found operations there, I found operation in week 10, I find, so that's my own first suggestion. The second thing also is that I thought that there could be a bit more case studies. I mean, I was thinking that somebody like you, Prof, who understands a whole lot about how Harvard uses a lot of case studies and all that, I thought that there could be more case studies to help us to apply what we've learned, or to be able to analyze certain issues based on what we've learned in the program. And then lastly, I also feel that there could be end of module test questions, not necessarily writing exams and all that at the end, but I've taken other programs online, and after every module, you have some questions that you could decide to take them or you could skip them. But some of the things that those questions do for you is they point you to certain things that you probably would have just glossed over or you missed out. But when you check out those questions, it helps you to probably go back and zoom in on certain things.
Thank you so much for that. Let me start from the first one. Actually, the only way what you are suggesting can work means that on day one, we have to post all the 12 weeks on day one. Because that is the only way you can now search. And if we do that, we think it will not be the right thing. People will just be overwhelmed. So what we do here is, let's say week 1 is innovation and growth. We try as much as possible to put topics which are majorly on innovation and growth, understanding that they, of course, have to be relevant in other areas. Because at the end of the day, it's business, education, they're all related. But they are majorly on innovation and growth. But if you now want to type innovation and get all the sections on innovation, it means everything has to be posted on day one. From our data, when people see that, they just give up. They become overwhelmed. And that is the reason why many people in online education, they feel intimidated, because you go on that day one, you see everything, but by facing it weekly, we've seen that so many of our members actually stay current on that. So that's what I would say, but we'll look at that to see if it makes sense. But looking at what educational programs we have, like FA Cyber, if you're taking it, is structured in a way that it drops once every week. There are some students that said, make everything drop. What we have noticed is that if you make the 12 weeks to drop on day one, they rarely pass second week before they leave. They feel overwhelmed. They will come back and say, please just allow it to be dropping once every week so that they can move, so that they don't feel overwhelmed. Then on the case study, so there are two things on the case study. The first one here is a case study needs to be graded. Our course module in this program does not support us giving people case studies that we have to grade. Rather, there is what we call a capstone and homework. If you are registered for that capstone and homework, there are so many things you do that are also related to that case study. But of course, that one requires extra 10,000 or 12,000. In this program, we did what they call sachetization. We price it in a way, if you just want the Tekedia Mini-MBA, you get it. If you also want homework looked into, if you also want a capstone, which is actually your final year project, like in quote, do that. So, but there is just no way we are going to give homework like cases, and then people write it, and we'll have to mark for thousands of people at 60,000 naira. It's not going to happen. And rather, the way we did our case is what we call brief case. The cases where instead of asking you to go and research on those cases, we now provide insight on those cases. Like if you go to week 1, week 2, week 3, we have cases. We also have the 25 business cases covering 10 in Africa, 5 in India, and 5 in US, and 5 in China. That is a way of overcoming the fact that the price model we have cannot support exactly what we do in Harvard, myself inclusive. So that's the reason. Then on the test question, largely we like our homework. If you want test questions, maybe you pay 10,000 naira for the homework. It's more business analytically designed than asking somebody, do you agree that innovation is this? Or do you agree that this is a productivity? I am not personally interested in the definitions or this. Rather, I'm interested in the scenarios that can help somebody think through questions. And if you look at the 3 questions in this Tekedia program, if you do them, that is actually a very critical part of testing. And those of our members that go through that homework, I think it's actually, like some of them now made videos, going through them next week. Those videos, they're going to send them to their bosses and things like that. So your notice note that we will see where we can adopt the ones we can adopt, making sure that our price point remains not very high so that we can continue to serve the community. Thank you so much, Karim.
Thank you, sir.
Daniel, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead. Let's go very fast because of time.
Yeah. Yes, it's going to be very fast. Good evening, Prof. It's nice to be back here. We were those that rounded up the last section, that is edition 6. Okay, so my question goes to you. You made a reference to a company, an outdoor advertising agency that invited you to review their activities, and you gave them a scenario why they had the kind of challenges they have as a result of Google and Facebook, taking major chunk of advertising revenues. Now, I would like to ask, because I actually operate in that space as well, what kind of innovation do you think can be supported or introduced into the space? Because knowing that outdoor advertising is not going to fizzle out in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years. And let me just put it that way, maybe 10 years. So what kind of innovation do you think can support the industry? Thank you. That's my question.
Yes, absolutely. So one way I think, largely, if I have a startup that is working in that space, I would tell the founder, is there any way you build a native digital advertising system on OOH, outdoor advertising, out-of-home advertising, that you can even go to Google and say, hey, Google, when people pay you in Google, besides you showing it on websites and apps, you can also help you show that on these outdoor spaces, so that by billboards and things like that. So you get Google to become your customer, and you just ask Google, I'm going to give you every day maybe 50 exposures of 10 seconds or whatever that they do there, but you have to pay me maybe 1 million or no, whatever it takes, just using a number. That means that you are building on the industry king, but you are building under the construct of efficient marginal cost positioning, because Google cannot go and be building those physical structures. But you have the experience, you have the cost model to build that. But you now leverage on the unbounded quantity of advertisement that Nigerians are sending to Google to tap from that Google wallet. That's one way I see that innovation coming. So Google says, if you are paying for advertising for an event in Nigeria, do you want it to show on 10 Land Bridge between 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on weekday in the next five days? If you say yes, Google gives you the option to add, and you are the one that will show that to Google because you become a Google partner. You know, I think there are just so many things people can do, but it requires somebody making that extra investment, which is never easy because when your business is losing money, another person is coming to ask you to make a more investment. It's most times you just say, what will change? But for me, just without thinking too much, that is one thing I would like to do. I think there's an article I wrote in Harvard. I noted there in Harvard that one of the best things you do is not to start fighting Facebook and Google, is to see how you can work in a world dominated by them. And in a world dominated by them, what that means is seeing how you build what they call the one, I think just like in this program, we learned about it, the one OASI strategy and things like that around those companies so that you can get opportunities. I think this is the Harvard article. If you can, let me just share that. If you can share, it said, can African tech startups succeed in a world dominated by Google? I think, so in the recommendation, I think I noted that most times don't try to start challenging these guys. Find a way to partner with them because they are like utilities. I call them global ICT utilities, just like you have your power utility, your electrical, your water board. Google is now the ICT utilities, the water board for utility, Facebook. So by working to partner with them, you can make better even money. You can just say, Google, pay me $500,000 in a year, pay that money into a bank account in US, and anytime those Nigerians pay for, this space will be available for you in the next 1 year. Okay.
All right,
I think, yeah, great. Let's go to Mr. Mbonu, please. Mbonu, I just want to make sure we take all the questions. So if it's possible, but I think we have about 2. Mbonu, please. Mbonu, please go ahead. Let's see if we can do that so that we can. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Prof. And good evening, Prof. Thank you for this session. Thank you for all the participants. So I just have a question or seeking your wisdom. Like you made a comment concerning the issue with aviation in Nigeria. Okay, how it's difficult for them to get maybe license to import aviation fuel due to maybe government having someone that is like the lord of the manor without the person. So I have a little fear that what is happening in government is maybe creeping into the private sector. Okay, where maybe someone is CEO or owner of the company, and nobody can do anything in that company without maybe the CEO's in-law or the CEO's brother that is there, despite the fact that the person maybe does not understand operations or running down the business. No matter anything, maybe an employee says in that particular company, it does not hold water, except to pass through these anointed people. So in business settings or in workplaces, how do maybe an employee overcome such people?
Unfortunately, in every business, there is what they call who is the majority shareholder, who is the minority shareholder. And you've already said it's a private company. What happens here is that there's nothing you can do. If the majority shareholder decides and they have a lousy board where basically they have their yes men and yes women there, there's just nothing you can do. But the reality that such companies, they don't last. And that is one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria now. We're having a world where critical questioning of people's assumption is not allowed. You have to believe it. If you question it, you are a bad guy. You know, it's just like you now saying that Mr. Buhari did not do something right. I remember Tony Lumeli was saying honestly that his staff said that they are struggling because of cost of living. So the way people attack him, this is just a man sharing what his staff told him. I mean, waiting concern Tony with the price of anything in Nigeria. But he was just sharing after speaking with his staff, and people were like making it, oh, you're attacking the government. So because of that, no one wants to talk, you know, because they're afraid. Then it comes to the private sector. If the shareholder, the major shareholder decides to run it away, what are you going to do? But that's where you will expect Security and Exchange Commission, especially the public traded companies, without making this. When Oando was suspended by SEC, in the United States, if SEC suspends you, I mean, you don't go to court to challenge the Security and Exchange Commission. But in Nigeria, if SEC suspend you, you can even go to court and a lawyer will also suspend you. So it's a very lousy system, gentlemen and ladies. And it's not even something that we should even waste our time discussing here, because it's absolutely unbelievable how Africa, in some parts, how we run businesses. So that's the thing. Security and Exchange Commission can suspend somebody will go to court and will suspend. You fix a price, somebody goes to court, the court will ask that person, the price cannot stand. And just like that. So the only way is what the startups are doing. And the reason why I like these startups, why we invest in them, is that they are bringing the mindset of the Western world into these companies. Because the guys that are giving them money don't allow those nonsense stuff to happen. So the CEO, if he tries it and one of the staff reports it, they will change it. Because by the time they give him that $20 million, he's already a minority shareholder. He doesn't control the company. But in Nigeria, you could list a company like Dangote Cement. Dangote control 85%, only 15% is listed in the stock exchange. So there is just nothing you can do. Let's assume that Dangote says he's going to become a very bad person. There's nothing, because he controls 85%. There's nothing anybody can do. In the United States, that will not be allowed. That will not be allowed. So that's why we have to improve before we even begin to question government. As you say, the private sector is also getting that virus. And that's why in some cases, a lot of people are fearful what the future can look like. So let's take the last question here. Habila, please. And if you can, just quick one, and then let's go. Habila, please go ahead. Are you there, Habila?
Yes, I am. Good evening.
Okay. Yeah, good evening.
I want to also stand on all the existing appreciation and say thank you for this opportunity. It has helped me develop and improve a lot. I've been attending so many of these programs, my work, at work and all that, but this gave me some very open ideas and direction on what I'm doing at the moment.
Thank you.
Not particularly a question for me. A little on the aviation, then I'll put my question on the aviation fuel issue. I think downstream sector too have been over-demonized. The cabal thing is not been overemphasized, which really do not exist. DPRs have the requirements stated on their website actually for you to be able to bring in the gas, oil, and jet fuel. All the other ones are not. I think PMS is the only regulated product. However, God is Good Motors decided to bring in petrol, to buy petrol for themselves to run their own business. And at a point in time, they realized it was cumbersome and had to sell their filling stations. I think maybe they had 10 or 12 filling stations. They sold them off, and the business is almost comatose. Ifest Nachi also, I'm not sure, have a tank farm right now. And they find out that those two businesses do not match compatibly. That's the major problem. Downstream sector is now heavily indebted to banks as a result of the Forex issues. Everybody gets money from, we know the CBN dual exchange rate, and you just bring in product, and then federal government will bring in product from NNPC and then sell in the same market. My question now goes in, what do we really do to get the government out of acting in private, in businesses that they should be regulating and not participating?
Yeah, Yeah, I think
because
the thing here is
participating
like,
with us,
yeah,
the market.
I think you said it actually. Okay.
So I'm a bit worried. I don't know if you can just shed some light and just help us.
Okay.
So that we can understand. A lot of people trying to do downstream business and it's really tying on our heads. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies. But the fact is this: if a state governor is the one funding a state university, and the union in the university tells the governor, the visitor to that state university, we don't want you to show up here after giving us that check. It's not going to happen. The governor is not going to write a check to run the university, and he is not going to participate in meddling into the affairs. Unfortunately, the same thing is happening in Nigeria. Provided that some of these structures are still largely driven through all these quasi-government networks, the influence will still remain there. So when you talk about total liberalization, if there is anything like that, that is actually where, when you see the telecoms, you see that the things can work very well in Nigeria. When you see that liquefied natural gas, you see that things can work. But in all these other ones, it's a zero-sum game. If I give 3 more licenses to people, that means that you are giving them opportunity to come and share the little money that we are making, because we are 10 now. And if we start thinking that way, the guy approving it will not give it. So that's at the end of the day, so massive level of, I don't like getting into all these government thing because it's just, everyone knows the simple thing to do to fix these problems, but it's so much, it's happening with Nigeria since the birth of this country. Just go back to, there's nothing new. Like I keep saying it, the finest moment in the financial sector in Nigeria in terms of innovation was in 1990s. And that was a time Babangida was totally a crazy guy, but his craziness was a finest moment. Babangida said, if you want finance house, come and get license. You don't need to have any uncle or know any government. If you want bank, the only thing he did was his regulatory element was not strong. But in terms of allowing innovation to flourish, he opened it up. You know what happened? Within 1 year, Diamond Bank was created, Zenith Bank was created, GT Bank was created. All these banks that are leading Nigerian banking sector, all those banks were created in a window of 18 months. Imagine if IDB had not done that. We will not have GT Bank, we will not have Zenith Bank, we will not have. He just said, hey, hell with all these other banks, let me allow it. People open, but he made a mistake. He did not regulate the flashes. So if you have this spirit where these guys are messing up, I'm going to the government to fill a form. I show them I can do this. Allow me to go and do. They regulate me very well. All this nonsense will not happen. But people can do anything they want because they know there's no risk. Nobody's going to take their cake. So we need to go back to that 1990 and look at what happened within that time. After IDB did that structural adjustment program, which personally, yes, I don't like it. But there was something positive. He opened the financial sector as they asked him, and new banks came in and changed the Nigerian economy. We can do that in everything. Yeah, and if we do that, we have a business in the downstream sector. And if I can show you a little bit of something here. In that sector, our business is growing. Month-on-month growth is 244%. I am telling you, the level of money in that sector, it is unbelievable. Because when I say it is unbelievable, we have a startup working there. And if you see the kind of opportunity there, that Nigeria is, this is, I just copied it here, 244,000 growth. Month-on-month growth is 636%. That is month-on-month. This is I'm quoting from for the Q1 quarterly report from the startup. In other words, people have money, they are looking for opportunity to do business. That is a place to be. But we just have to have a government that can help us structure that. I mean, this is not really about APC or Buhari. This has been a problem for years. The only reason why it's getting so much attention now is because Nigeria population is growing so rapidly that economic opportunity. So at the end of the day, everyone is squeezed, and that's why we have so much tension in the country. And if it's not managed, I promise you, in the next 5 years, you may see real pockets of crisis all over because people are not having any economic mobility. So let's take the last question and then we close it. Benga, please go ahead. And I think that will be the last one. Benga, go ahead and so that we call it a day. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Prof. I also want to stand on existing vote of thanks, and I want to appreciate you and all the faculties that have greatly impacted us. So my question is towards, is there a plan or an arrangement for a kind of strategic partnership with organizations that could kind of extend the value chain, of what the Tekedia Institute is offering? And what I mean by that is, earlier on in your presentation, you talked about 3 things. One needs to look out for, in building an innovative company. You talked about strategic. An employee can be strategic, tactical, and you talk about the operational aspect of building the business. All right. And what I have realized in my experience as a software consultant, who has consulted with a lot of tech companies, who now runs a tech company, is that most organizations, who are looking to build innovative solutions, they have ideas, they have, they have most of the things we've been taught. For example, most of the people in this classroom now, they've been greatly impacted on how to set up an innovative business. But one thing I know that usually poses as a challenge to building an innovative company is how to build or how to raise technical teams or tech teams. How to either hire developers or how to acquire tech talent and help them with their innovative company. All right. So my question is there a way Tekedia is looking to partner with organizations or
we do.
Okay, that help such businesses after they've acquired this skills can also now extend, to fit into
I've said that we do actually. And one of the things, of course, we try to make this a pure school. We don't want to start mixing things up. We co-own more than 60, 70 companies around the world through Tekedia Capital. We actually a very, very big, and we also work with, so if you type here, we just invested in about 7 of them last week. Agile Money, to digitize centuries old Rosca. Like people contribute money in offices. We invested in Ibrahim and Chinenye business, Rosca, Agile Money. We invested in a decade. If you are watching a movie, you want to buy something, you watch it, you pay for it. That's the decade. We invested in Bytes. This was April, and we invested in Lafayette Telehealth, invested in Rope. So every quarter, Tekedia Capital, we invest about $3.6 million in startups. And our school is the only school in Africa. We are not just working on school, we also building real great companies, building assets. So if you check startups and companies that we control, they are extremely very huge entities. And so we, as part of doing this, requires that we work with startups. We have a very, very, very solid relationship with startups. We work with them, and this one is I mean, we did $3.5 million last. That was 2021, and we invest in so that's the sister company. But we don't want to start confusing things when we come here and we're talking about business, so that people don't get lost into the specs. So what you ask here, we have a total separate unit where we invest a significant amount of money in innovator.
Okay, sorry,
and then a partnership. We
to
have many universities, like Nnamdi Azikiwe University is there. And in our college, if you go to the College Boost, University of Lagos is there. And so all you need to do is send us an email which area you are interested in. There are some schools and universities in Africa. Their final year students spend time with us, like McPherson University. Their final year students come here. They graduate, they spend time with us, and even the Kwara State government, I think they have 600 people here. That is the wife of the governor who send in T-shirts. And then if you go here, practically every major university will spend time with University of Ibadan, industrial engineering. So we have so many. So you may not know about it because your program is Tekedia Mini-MBA, but we run innovation hubs like Tekedia Practice Internship. So we work with big companies like One Solar. We raise One Solar, we raise $10 million. And so you also have the Tekedia Industries and then the Tekedia Masterclass. Yeah. So
okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Prof, so sorry to cut you. My question has not been exactly answered. I think maybe you missed the question. Okay, let me start this way.
Yeah, go ahead. And sorry, it's like I muted you because of the noise. But let's take this thing offline, and you could send us a note. We will see how. I understand you're looking at people in the different pipeline strategy, tactical and operational. I'm just trying to tell you that we are open for opportunities and collaboration. So just send us your proposal, what we can do with you. And like, well, I'm just telling you that within Nnamdi Azikiwe University, we work with it. We also work with startups. We work with companies. And even, yeah, so we will be very happy to explore how we can work together. So gentlemen and ladies, I want to thank you so much for spending your 12 weeks with us. And of course, every good thing has to come to an end, they say. And we are very confident that this is just going to be the beginning. Go back to Tekedia Institute and please, we will like to have you once again. Wenga, please, I didn't call you. I just want to make sure we don't exceed the next 1 minute. I apologize. Please, we can speak over this. Please, I don't feel bad. I just want to make sure it doesn't exceed 45.
How do I get in touch with you?
Send me an email. The email you have, tekedia@fastmicro.com. The email, our company's email. Just send an email there.
Okay, I hope it will reach you directly.
It will reach me. Okay, so gentlemen and ladies, I want to thank you and thank you so much. So the certificate will start going out tomorrow morning. Just send your email to our team and they will make sure that they give you that certificate. They'll send you a link that you can use to download the certificate and then things like that. Have a wonderful, and thank you so much, please. And you are ready to lead. We say good evening and good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, sir.
Bless you, sir.
Thank
you very much.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations, team.
Thank
you. We did this.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. God bless you.
Everyone, thank you, Prof.
Thank you,
Faculty.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations.
Congratulations to everyone. Good night, time, and Mohammed. Good night, all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Dr. Ladies. Thank you, Prof.
I don't want to leave.